Okay, good evening. Welcome to our City Council meeting for Wednesday, August 26th. We will start tonight with a Pledge of Allegiance, and that will be offered by Moroni Shelton.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Moroni. We'll go to item 4.2, City Council comments and recognitions. Anything from council tonight? Seeing no comments, we'll go to public comment. I did want to, based on the sheets I have, it seems like everybody's here for item 10.2. Was council be open to moving those public comments to that item? Okay. So at this point, if you're here on the gate next to the extra space storage, we'll have you wait until we get to that item, so we'll have a presentation that you can make comment at that point. That way it's just closer and fresher in all of our minds on that item. But if you have any other public comment at this point, audience members may bring any item within the city's purview to the City Council's attention. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes. State law prohibits the council from acting on items that do not appear on the agenda. Public comments for this meeting will also be conducted electronically. Any person interested in addressing the council may submit a comment by emailing recorder@harriman.gov or by visiting harriman.gov/agendas and minutes, where there's a link to fill out an online public comment form. Your statement will be incorporated into the public record. So I'll look for any public comments at this time. Okay, seeing none, we will move to item 6. We'll do our council reports. We'll start with Jared.
Nothing tonight.
Okay, Teddy?
We had a couple board meetings this morning and then yesterday and some events. The South Valley Chamber board meeting was pretty simple today. We talked about a couple events coming up and then projects they're doing and the activity in the chamber. One major thing we talked about was the open house for the Salt Lake Temple Square down there next year, April through October. They talked about the impact and the economic opportunity we have here for our hotels and traffic and businesses. So more to come on that, but they gave us some detailed information about who's inviting and how many dignitaries and how many people they're going to be seeing a day. It's about 33,000 to 38,000 people a day. They're expecting several millions of people visiting downtown Salt Lake, so it's pretty impressive. The other board meeting we had and events was Jordan Basin Improvement District. We continue talking about our projects and the opportunities we have there to finish a lot of those infrastructure projects for our South Hills area, South Mountain area. And then we also had an employee appreciation barbecue earlier this month. So that's my reports, Mayor.
Thank you. Matt?
Nothing for.
Okay, Tara?
I'll say that we had our kickoff retreat for our youth council. We had about 38 members of that youth council and had a high percentage of them there. So that was Friday evening and Saturday morning, and just there's a lot of excitement and enthusiasm there. So we're looking forward to the service. When we asked what they're most excited about, most of them said serving at city events and then also learning about local government. So we'll have them out and about and help them learn about those things.
Love it. Great event. Thank you, Tara. And thank you to Angie, who was here too from our staff to support that as well. So Jackie, if you could pass our thanks up to her as well. Just a couple of quick reports I have. Sorry, Carlos, but the county council did approve the parameters of the bond, the Parks and Rec, the recreation bond. So that will go to the voters in November, and that does include currently $10 million towards our athletic complex. So that will go to the voters in November. I did just by way, and I can send it to everybody, but I had Transcom last Thursday. They've got a new tool available. It's a commuter tool. It was just fascinating. 90% of our residents actually commute out of the city, right? And we talked about that a little bit, like we would love to bring jobs here, but in the meantime, I mean, there was just, I knew the number was high, but hearing that number was 90%. And I know we've got a lot of job opportunities coming on the south end, but just thought that was just fascinating information. So we do have about 1,600 that commute into the city to work, actually, which was kind of, I don't know where they work, Bullfrog, places like that, but. Schools, that's true. Yep, that's a great point.
Police, fire.
So that was interesting there. So yeah. So that's all of my, I will say we also have, we had our first track board meeting. We kicked that off. We do have 2 applications in. One to do a design for the rodeo grounds, just a design step. And then we do have another step, another phase of the athletic complex in there for a small amount there. So that will be, those meetings will resume again in a couple of weeks with a decision coming in November? I can't remember. But so another about $10 million in applications for about $6 million worth of available funding. So we'll see where that goes. Okay, that brings us to the close of our reports tonight. We will go on to our reports and presentations. We're going to start, we'd like to welcome County Council Member Carlos Moreno is here tonight, so we're going to turn the time to him for his presentation. Carlos, thank you for being here.
Dear Harriman City Council, thank you for this opportunity and for, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. This is something maybe it's not happened before. The county councilman is attending the city council to report what I has been doing during this time. My intention is that we can coordinate more activities and more, we can coordinate more effort, work together. That we can work together in the council and according to your priorities and what we need to do. Of course, just to introduce, to tell you what I'm doing, maybe all of you know, I represent 7 cities and also the unincorporated area that we have in the back of Harriman. And it's totally 7 different cities from Magna to Harriman, Magna, West Valley, West Jordan, South Jordan, Copperton, and all the west side. And honestly, if you walk from West Valley to Magna, it's a totally different environment. People is different. And I'm going to start the presentation. Of course, this is some of our statutory duties that we have in the council, in the county, and we oversee those these departments or these entities. Library, recreation center, flood control, preserve land records, and more. In the fiscal accomplishment, I had this accomplishment. We cut the mayor administration budget and transitioned society childcare to public-private partnership. That was really successful. Just a few weeks ago, we had a really good news that our transition from public daycare to private public daycare is the best that we can do in the county. We froze salaries for elected officers. We ended the Biden-era program funded by COVID funds. We moved the Clark Planetarium from property taxes to TRCC funds, opened the new pot on Oxbow Jail to 50 beds, addressed $3 million deferred maintenance at ADC using existing funds, and complete the state legislative audit election equipment. In the infrastructure, we can see good things happening. We say the Abraham Hall began work on downtown entertaining district, create American 250 Commission. We also have the partly multi-use trail that's located in Kearns, West Valley, that area. This is about legislative intent to protect trees and county property, resolution to protect the Great Salt Lake. This one is very special because this is something that came from Natalie Pigney. She is part of the council. She brought this idea, and few weeks later, President Trump talked in national TV about the Great Salt Lake. And this is something bipartisan that we are working on it. Investment in trail, infrastructure, and events that connect communities. As a sponsor proclamations, we did the National Day of Prayer. Just for let you know, in Salt Lake County, a new organization called it's an organization of ministers. They are, it's more than 100 pastors, and they are working together to provide service to the community. And they made that proposal to have the National Day of Prayer. The Hispanic Heritage Month proclamation, Child Abuse Prevention Month, the Women's Day proclamation, just for let you know, this is an effort with a couple congressional offices. We celebrate women in District 2, people from here, women from here to the rest of the district. We honor those special women who are doing great things in our community. And the victim of communism resolution, as many of you know, this is something very special for me. I used to be a victim of socialism, but this is communism. And what we did is we create a resolution in the council to honor this victim of communism. Just for let you know, as a general knowledge, we have in the council 2 people who argue against this resolution. And just for let you know, to become U.S. citizen, they ask you many questions about you are part of the Communist Party or you support this ideology. The victim of this resolution went directly to the Victim of Communism Memorial Foundation in Washington, D.C., who is an organization created by Congress, bipartisan efforts. And by the way, one of the members of the council voted no. As a member of the council, I'm part of the board of trustees of Eslavisa. Maybe you know what is Eslavisa. This is a crisis that we are living in Salt Lake County. Especially law enforcement and safety is a total crisis that we are living right now in Salt Lake County. Eslavisa is a Salt Lake Valley law enforcement service area, and we had these communities part of this entity. And what we do is we collect the money and we pay the law enforcement services with the sheriff office and also with Unified Police Department. Of course, this is some photos of the community outreach that I do as a council member. That this was a really big day for me for riding bicycle with these guys. You know, that was a big day, especially the cardio day for me. Of course, I try to do ride along with a police officer across my district. This is different visit with the pastors in churches and also local leaders and local business owners. Like I said, I try to be very involved in the community to hear what happening in our community in many places. What I said always in other presentations in my district, I said, well, maybe my English is a second language English, but my community involvement is a first language. I love to be in the community. This is more community engagement. Just for let you know, this is my last thing. As many of you know, I was the only member of the council who voted no for the tax increase last year. And that was a hard decision. For me, it was easy, but for the rest of the council, it was hard. And just for, I have really good reasons but why I voted no. First, I received many and many and many emails from people, especially from here, from Harriman, telling me voting no. But also, as a county councilman, I received many, many reports from different entities, private entities and public entities, telling me proposal to how we can save money from the taxpayer. My colleagues don't pay attention to those reports from those private entities. And that was very interesting for me to know that we have people telling us what we can do better, and we did respond in the right way. And the third one, that was very emotional. I was in Kearns in a community meeting, and I saw a table with a lot of elder people, like people in their 60s, 70s, 80s. One member of that table, or one person from that table, approached me and talked to me, "Hey, you are Carlos Moreno, the county councilman." I said, yes, thank you. Like, shake hands, introduce myself, and this person, this elder person, take my shoulder with his two hands, and he looked at me in my eyes. He was crying. He was in his middle 70s, and he told me, "Carlos, I cannot afford more tax increase. Me and my wife, we cannot pay more for things." And that was a very emotional moment for me as a county councilman, because when you see someone like that who has went through many, many things in their life, and they are getting emotional because they cannot pay more bills, or they cannot afford more things, it's hard for me having this kind of situation. And I promise my constituents, like I said in my campaign, don't raise taxes unnecessary. And this raise taxes was unnecessary. We have a lack of leadership in the county in many ways. You have seen what the crisis we have in the jail. We have like a more than 100,000 release for overcrowding in the jail. This is a lack of leadership. And also, within 90 days, 38.4% of the people released because of overcrowding were arrested and booked again on new criminal charges. And this is not something overnight. This has happened in 20 years. We have had this situation. And now I don't have good news, because what is happening now, the legislator passed a bill that we need to fix this problem as soon as possible, for your safety, for my safety, for our community safety. And what that means, that we need to maybe increase taxes to build a new jail. Or well, the new section, the expansion of the jail. And like I said, this is we have a lack of leadership in the county, and this is something that keeps me awake every night, because safety is a priority for all of us, especially those who live in this county and care about this county. One more thing, the county last week or 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to vote about the new bond. I voted no, because in the beginning was 100 million to maintain and having a new projects. But in the middle of the week, and also we have some of my colleagues want to include $28 million more for this bond. I was totally disagree, because we have a board who decide what to do, or they recommend highly what we need to do to approve. And we have a couple projects who were less. One is West Jordan, even 5 minutes from my city, from my house, and the other one is Salt Lake City. And I say no, because, like I said, it's not just building a nice building. Everybody loves to have a nice building, but more than that is who's gonna maintain that building? How much what's gonna be the real cost of that building on time? And we have a crisis in the jail. We have a crisis in many ways. The county is out of control, especially in being physical responsible for what we are doing in the county. We have a lot of work to do. Like I said, I have good news, but also things that keep me awake during the night. And I just want to let you know, and I want to be very responsible exactly for my words right now tonight, but this is what happened in the county. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm willing to work with any of you in any kind of effort that you are doing, and I'm here to serve. That's my whole job in right now.
Perfect. Thank you, Carlos.
Thanks, Carlos.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you
being here.
Thank you, City Council.
Thank you for your service. Appreciate you being here, Carlos. Okay, we'll go to item 9.1. This is a public hearing on and consideration of a resolution approving an interfund loan between the Water Rights Impact Fee Fund and the General Capital Projects Fund. Kyle.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, we have a public hearing for a proposed interfund loan. We have a couple new council members on the dais, so I did want to go a little bit through the interfund loan history. This would be replacing the existing one that had expired. So we did have an interfund loan that was executed in 2020. That was to finance the purchase of the land in the Auto Mall project area. The proceeds, when that land was sold, would be used to repay the loan. The original amount was $12.5 million. There have been certain portions that have been paid back over the years, but right now there's about $7.6 million of that bond left as of June 30th of 26.
Sorry, Kyle, can I interject something real quick?
Of course.
Going even farther back beyond that, I guess, especially with some public being here, which we've not used to lately. A lot of people would ask, why would we borrow from ourselves to buy that property? At least for me, I might be the only one up here now. Sherry's gone, who was here at the time, was that it was zoned to be apartments. And we had a clause in that agreement that we had a certain amount of time for someone to buy it, to develop it otherwise. And without a commercial partner, we did that so it didn't become apartments, to reserve it for commercial. Sorry.
Thank you, Councilmember Henderson. That's good background on it. Before I go to what staff is proposing, I did want to go through what the state statute requires on an interfund loan. There have been a few changes over the years, so I did want the council to be aware of it. So one which makes sense is all terms, conditions, and repayment schedules must be in writing. One important thing is the interest rate, and I'm not going to read the whole quote. Basically, the interest rate must be what we would have earned the money if it was just sitting somewhere we had it invested. Of course, the interfund loan requires a public hearing, and it needs to be adopted by resolution or ordinance, and it cannot exceed 10 years. So an interfund loan is not a good financing mechanism for long-term capital projects such as new buildings and such. So what staff's interfund loan proposal is it would be effective as of June 30th of 26. So yes, that is in the past. Correlates with our fiscal year to make sure we have an interfund loan on the books for the financial statements. The loaning fund would be the Water Rights Capital Impact Fee Fund, which is the same fund that was doing the loan prior. The borrowing fund is the General Fund Capital Projects Fund. The amount of the loan is $7,609,747.55. I did put a term of on here of 2 years with principal due at the end of year 2. However, when the land is sold, we would immediately repay the loan back. I did put 2 years in here just so we had some cushion, so we didn't fall into a situation where the loan expires and we don't have a financing mechanism lined up. And the interest rate is the June Public Treasurer's Investment Fund rate. That is the primary source of where our idle funds are located, and then there's no prepayment or early payoff penalties. And then once again, I did put at the bottom, just to reiterate, once that Auto Mall land is sold, the loan will be repaid immediately once we have those proceeds. Are there any questions for me before the public hearing tonight? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Okay, at this point, we will open the public hearing on this item. See no public comment, I'll look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Look for a motion.
Motion to approve resolution number R36-2026, approving an interfund loan between the Water Rights Impact Fee Fund and the General Capital Projects Fund.
Got a motion by Jared,
Second.
second by Teddy. We'll go Jared,
Yes.
Teddy.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Tara. Yes. And I'll vote yes, that motion carries. Thank you, Kyle. We'll go to item 10.1, consideration for adoption of a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of not more than $16 million aggregate principal amount of sales and franchise tax revenue refunding bonds, Series 2026, and related matters. Kyle.
Thank you, Mayor. This is even more exciting than the interfund loan discussion. We do have a bond series that is up for refunding, which basically means a refinancing, meaning rates have dropped lower than what we were paying on the prior bond. However, I will note, and I'll probably reiterate this, the market is terrible right now. So right now, we aren't planning on doing the refunding, but we would like to have these parameters in place if the markets do improve to a point where we can do the refinancing. So what the parameters resolution does is it sets the maximum amount on a number of items. This doesn't mean that these are actually going to be the terms of the refinancing. So maximum principal of $16 million. We have about $14.3 million outstanding. You may ask, why are we asking for more than our current outstanding? That does give our financing team some leverage. For example, we may be able to get a premium on the bonds we issued, which would be higher than that $14.3 million that we owe on it. The number of years to maturity is 10, so currently we do owe 9. Our underwriter and financing team likes to have some leverage in case they need to add in some special payment terms. Selling price compared to principal of 98%, that is industry standard. And then an interest rate no higher than 6%. The reason they put that in is because typically these bonds aren't issued just at one interest rate, so there will be a range of interest rates. And there is the potential that maybe some year would be at a higher rate like 6%. It also, the parameters resolution sets the designated officers that can perform the following. Selection of bond underwriter or purchaser. The council did already authorize an underwriter, which was Stiefel Finance, so we actually do already have the bond underwriter. Approves the method of sale, and then the principal amounts, interest rates, terms, et cetera, and then any error corrections or omissions. The bonding documents do propose that it's myself and then Nathan as those designated officers, which is the same as the bond we issued in 2025, so that has not changed. And with that, are there any questions for me on this resolution?
No questions? Guess that's easy. I'll look for a motion then.
Motion to approve resolution number R37-2026, authorizing the issuance and sale of not more than $16 million aggregate principal amount of sales and finance tax revenue refunding bonds, Series 2026.
Got a motion by Matt,
Second.
second by Jared. We'll go Tara.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Teddy.
Yes.
Jared.
Yes.
I'll vote yes, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Kyle. Okay, we'll go on to item 10.2. This is the extra space self-storage discussion. So the way we'll do this, we've got just a quick comments from Nathan, and then we will open up the public hearing again for that. We'll take some public comment at that time, and then we'll go to that point.
Thank you, John. So the staff report council has a little longer than our normal ones. We try to give you some background here. And frankly, it was good for me because a lot of these decisions were prior to my being here. And so I think Blake has some recollection of these early parts, but we'll walk through just kind of where we're at today. So for everybody, it's about where we're at in the city. We're specifically talking about the connection here. So this is done by a master development agreement, that whole development, and that dictates a lot of things. It's what required them to build their office building first. Then they went through subdivision processes in '23, and their plans were approved in '24. So the MDA language, specifically when we were talking about the connection from onto black powder, some history. The city had entered into an agreement, and I'll look to Blake. This was quite some time back with UDOT on an access to Mountain View. And that requires the connection there, and it was in this location, be to a public street. So that was something that was underlying all these discussions. So as they went back and forth, it was determined that we could use, it would be a public street, but that we could do a gate to block off through access from black powder into this thing. And the MDA calls it a crash gate specified by Unified Fire District. That's what it says. This is the way you have them, that's the exact quote out of there. It's maintained by the developer. They have to build a crash gate. Crash gate is not a defined term in the MDA. It means different things depending on the context of what we're talking about. So in this instance, when the developer went to Unified Fire, and they talked about it, Unified Fire really felt strongly they needed the emergency access. This is just a letter from UDOT. So I borrowed, this was Blake's report from last time. Some of this is not important. When DAI, who was the developer, said, well, let's not have it a street, UDOT pushed back and said it needs to be a street. So what we have is this gate that was put in your lower right of your screen there on that right-hand side is the gate that was put in. Is that a crash gate? Sure. I don't know. Having managed cities with airports, a crash gate means something different to the FAA than it does to the Forest Service or in this instance to UFA. There were no other definitions. There weren't any pictures. So long story short, the developer believes they have met the intent of the MDA. And as we've looked at it, we don't think we have any way to force them to do anything. So really, it comes down to council. So one of the questions that we were asked is, how has that gate impacted? So you have in front of you, and sorry for these colors. They're a little harder to see. I've got another chart. So prior to the gate, so 21 months prior to the gate, which would have been through construction, and 21 months after the gate went in, we pulled the police reports. And so police reports are always in interesting crime statistics. A victim doesn't care what your crime statistics are, because for them it's 100%. And when I look at all these, they're not necessarily indicative. We're just not seeing a huge change. The one that kind of struck me as a little bit interesting is the suspicious persons and vehicles, but it's not a connection through. We have heard that people are parking there and going in to the storage unit. It's easier, but there was a trail there. You can see where it connects in your left side. It's right at the very top there. There's a trail that already connects right there. So I don't know what's going on. And again, these are just numbers. But there were significantly more calls in the 21 months before versus after. I don't know if that's because there's more activity in that general area, which tends to move issues away. But as you look through here, some of these are probably more indicative of when you see a family offense, those have nothing to do with this gate. So I just share this with you. I go through and I'm looking, well, public peace is probably one that might be important here. The public order, one had dropped quite a bit. Public peace was up a little bit. Suspicious vehicles. The others are kind of, I don't know that a gate or anything. I think this is just a snapshot in time. So I share that with you because we were asked. I don't know that it says one. If you were asking me, does this tell you the gate is worse or better? I'd say it doesn't say anything to me. It just shows that the activity there's activity in those neighborhoods. So, sorry, if you were looking for one that says it didn't do anything, you could draw that from this. If you wanted to say it might, you could probably draw that from this as well. There's just the 21 months. We don't have, we're a smaller city when it comes to these statistics, and so I think it's 173 instances after the gate and 260 before. It's just not, they're not a big sample size, really is the challenge. But so from staff's perspective, if we make any changes, it would be on the city's general fund to do, general tax dollars. The estimate we received to improve the aesthetics of this gate, replacing it, this estimate is old, and I think it was something like $30,000. That's, what, 18 months old? So it would be higher than that. I don't believe it would be double, but that's something we'd have to look at. Also, we do have to maintain the ADA access on this opening here, which I believe, I'm gonna look at Blake, is 48 inches. So that's kind of where we stand. This would normally be a work meeting item, but we knew there were residents who would want to comment, so staff thought it would be better to put it in this meeting since we don't take public comment in work meetings. So happy to try and answer questions, but I think there are people here who may want to share their experience or their thoughts.
For sure. Any other comments from council before we go? Okay, at this point, I've only got 2 forms. If you have any more forms, you could hand to Zach at this point, and you don't necessarily have to have a form. It just makes it easy. So we'll start the public comment at this time. We'll start with Trina Jacobson. Am I saying it right, Trina? Yes. Perfect. Welcome.
So I came to the last meeting on this, so I'm kind of frustrated to be here today, but besides the aesthetics of it just looking very commercialized, we have no protection from this business. I have seen with my own eyes people pull up right there and unload their cars, and I'm sure it's just because it's a lot easier to take a left than go around Mountain View, but I just think we deserve, as residents, more protection. If it was up to us, I think we would all vote to just block that completely off like every other residential has and deserves, and I feel like we're not really asking much to just go back to what was originally on the plans that we all were okay with in the first place.
Perfect. Thank you, Trina. Matt Prince.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, so similar comments. I live just a few houses down on the corner of Black Powder. Yeah, I think there's an admitted, at least from the December meeting, discrepancy between what was in the plans and kind of what was communicated to us as a community by the city, where there would be no access to this business. There's a sidewalk going into the business, and then a very poor excuse for a gate, right? I've seen, similarly, I've seen people parking to get access to the business. Heavens, I've seen a small car drive in between that gap. So there's the nuisance of it, there's the safety of it, there's children's safety, there's a playground right there, right? As we're gonna, I think next year, we're gonna start converting Mountain View to a freeway. It's gonna be a busier road. You know, just being able to walk right out into the freeway, that's a concern for our neighborhood. I know in December, is it ADA access, right? That was the term, was brought up. I thought we had determined that wasn't necessarily needed to be applicable because it's not an actual Access point, I don't know. I would really hope that we could fix this so that there is no access like it was promised to the community, whether it be pedestrian or motor vehicles.
Thank you, Matt. Jen Bangeter. Jen did tell me we'd still be friends after this.
I don't know. Yeah, so I just is echoing the same thing. Just like I know that in the discussion it's been talked about how the storage unit company that they met the crash gate, but in all the plans and everything that was given to the public, everything looked like from what we were seeing something more. And, you know, we talked about this last November, is that when it was? That, you know, the council, like that they understood the same thing that we did. And so it just feels really disheartening that here we are, I don't know how much longer later, but we're still not seeing a solution on it. And I mean, same as Matt and Trina and others, like there are people parking there, and I know it doesn't seem like it would be a huge issue, but it is. It just adds that one more thing that we have to deal with, one more thing that our neighborhood now has to see and deal with, because this access to a business is now right into our neighborhood. And yeah, I just really, I really hope you decide to do something about it. But I mean, I don't know, like, I don't know. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jen. Those are all the forms I have, but anybody else like to make a comment? Morgan?
Yeah, so
If you could just
I work for a general contractor.
Can you state your name
Yes,
for us?
Jeremy Jacobson.
Okay.
So, yeah, I work for a general contractor. I really feel like you could get 3 competitive bids and you could get it under 30,000. I mean, my son-in-law does metal fabrication. You could put a square sleeve over the round bollards that are into the concrete, tack in a weld there, and throw in a gate. We're not asking for electronic gate. We're not asking for any mechanical systems. We're asking for a nice looking 6-foot wrought iron gate that has a chain in the middle with the crash box so that the fire department can get in. I mean, that's literally what we're asking for, something that's just a little bit more secure than just this chintzy little galvanized gate that makes our neighborhood look terrible. So that's my opinion. So
Thank you. I shouldn't have encouraged you, Morgan.
My name is Morgan Bangeter, second cousin to Jen through marriage. My concern is that we've got Lifetime Fitness going in over there right now. So these numbers that you're showing likely will increase over time because traffic to that area will increase over time with Lifetime Fitness, which I'm super pumped about. We're way excited about Lifetime Fitness. We're not even mad about a storage unit. What we're frustrated with is what we were told versus what we were given. And that's where the pain point is. We're not anti-development. My husband's a home builder. Like, these are not things that we're frustrated by. It's that there's a gate that we were shown. This is what it's going to look like. First, there was no access. Then it was like there's ADA. There's a lot of confusion. Like, I feel confused. And I'm usually pretty on top of, like, if somebody's explaining something to me, I can keep track of it pretty well. And I feel a little bit lost. And I feel like with the Lifetime Fitness development going in, now I feel like I've got to be a watchdog on whatever's happening over there. Because what they said they're going to do, are they going to actually do it? And then is it going to impact the rest of it and bring more into my neighborhood? So that's where I'm at on that. Whether we come to a resolution or not, I think we'll continue to show up as a neighborhood and continue to have conversations. And I super actually appreciate how open you guys have been and how easy you've made it to be able to have conversations. So thank you.
Thank you, Morgan.
Hi, my name's Julie Christensen. I should have just let Morgan finish us off because I think it wrapped us up in a pretty bow, but I was noticing today, actually, as I was driving on Mountain View Corridor, And that was the first time that it really clicked that I had to come to this meeting because I was going to let the troops come in and let you know how we all felt as a whole. But I drove past and I looked and saw what beautiful homes look there and what an awesome driveway straight to my house would look like going through that little gate. There is a lot of traffic that is starting. Mountain View Corridor is going to get bigger. We have businesses coming in, and they are not protecting our little area. And I know that most people who don't live in that area probably look at that gate and say, yeah, if you crash into it, you're gonna back up. Okay, that's great, but if you were living in that area, I hope that you would think about your little family and how easy it would be for someone to be on a highway and quickly turn right into that little storage area and just plow through and hit one of your children. Because mine are precious to me, and I sure in the heck hope that all of you would think about your small children as people can come through that you don't trust. I come from California, and so I am very hyper-vigilant about where my children are, where they're going, and I am so grateful that they're a little bit older at this point, but you better believe I know exactly where my children are going. And even more so because I am seeing people walk through my neighborhood that I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know where they've been, and we know our neighborhood. We know our neighbors. We're tight, we're close, and we protect each other. And so as a city, my hope is that you'll see more of us as humans, as your neighbors. Sorry, I've hit my time up.
You're okay. Wrap up your thoughts. You're okay.
Okay, thanks. I just hope that you'll feel our pain in knowing that that small little gate, when you're on Mountain View Corridor, you can see straight through our neighborhood. You can see where you can come in and that we're not protected anymore. We're just not. So those numbers, I saw them. And while they look very similar or maybe even a little bit better, that's prior to all the growth happening. That's prior to Lifetime coming in. That's prior to that highway getting bigger. And we need to protect our community now as we're growing. And we just hope that you'll look at us and really just fix what was promised in the first place. And I don't care whose fault it is. Like, honestly, it doesn't matter. It's what are we gonna do about it as a city now so that we can be proud of where we live. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's everybody. Moroni? Anna? Okay. I'll turn it back. We don't have to close. This wasn't a public hearing, so I'll just turn it back to council for any comments. Jared, I don't know if you want to lead out on this.
Thanks for allowing this on the agenda again. I'm with you guys. I thought we had settled this in December. I thought we'd given some direction to bring us back some options for a gate. So I apologize that you're back here again, but that's how government works, and we do have a new council, and we need to make sure we do the things in the right way. So appreciate staff taking time to go back through this again. Again, I'm old hat now, right? I'm the only one that was here through these things. I get asked a lot, you've been there for a long time, you've been through a lot of big things are done, why you're sticking around. This is one of those reasons, to make sure that the things I worked on get done and get done the way that we set out to do it. And so yeah, I always say to these guys, the devil's in the details, and I learned that from these kinds of contracts. This is going back prior to our current administration, but I felt like council would have these discussions and give clear direction, and a few years later when it came back around, the document didn't reflect what we had talked about and promised to the public, and I think this is one of those instances. So the discussion with the council at the time, I believe that the audio was there. We went back and looked at it and verified that there was extensive discussion. Myself and I think Clint led the way, Sherry as well, that we were very concerned about storage units going in next to this neighborhood. That, like, the litmus test for me is always, if I live there, what are my concerns, right? I don't want, and that we talked about that over and over and over. There should be zero access from the storage units to that neighborhood. I was also concerned that they were showing us the shiny picture of the office buildings, knowing that those are something that we'll want, right? And I knew that they would just build the storage units and walk away, so we put that clause in that they had to substantially complete part of, an office building before they did the storage units. But then we continued the storage unit conversation, which is, it was in that little strip of land, we can't prevent a property owner from doing something with it. The other proposal was to do condos, more townhouses there. Well, I think we all agree that that's not what we wanted there either, especially connecting to the neighborhood. Well, commercial use on this side, I think we kind of agreed storage units were kind of the better of the two options. Access was an issue. UDOT did say it has to be a public street, but we found that workaround to where we could have a crash gate, right? A crash gate just means for emergency uses. Then there was extensive discussion about what a crash gate meant. I recall specifically saying that's the type of gate we do not want to have there. So if you say crash gate in there, I want it to reflect that it's not going to be just that little flimsy swing arm gate like you see at those places. It needs to be something better. I'll hold my hand up. We should, again, now coming to this, we should have nailed it down and said it has to be this specific type of gate and put it in the plans and ironclad. We felt like we had clear direction that it needed to be something better than what's there. I mean, we specifically called out it should not be that. The neighbors trusted us. The developer, yeah, you can say that the MDA, they followed the letter of the MDA. And we connected the ADA to the existing sidewalk. It was the only sidewalk at the time. And that just went through our planning department. That didn't come back to us, right? We didn't see that again. It was just, well, it has to connect to a sidewalk. There wasn't a connecting sidewalk on Mountain View, right? That part wasn't finished. So they, quote, had to connect it through there. The width of that is a problem. It's pretty wide. I think I went out and measured, and yeah, you could squeeze a compact car through there. So we do need to do something with that at the least. But for me, the biggest thing is that we have a group of residents who were involved in the process. They paid attention to their notices. They came to meetings. They were involved along the way. We told them one thing for all the reasons that we've just discussed and I've just regurgitated. And then something else has been done. It does not matter whose fault it is, but we promised them one thing and I feel we need to make good on it. It stinks that if we had been on top of it during the building process, I think the developer probably would have at least shared in the cost and done it. But we missed it, and that is kind of our fault. I can think of a lot of other things that we need to spend $30,000 on around here. But what good is our word to our residents, people who were involved in the process? We talk about all the time that we're speaking to an empty audience. People just don't get involved. We have a group of residents who was involved. They did all the things they were supposed to. We told them one thing and something else has been done. I just think we need to make good on it. I personally don't think it necessarily needs to be the aesthetically best thing. We never said it was going to be a wrought iron gate that cost a bunch of money. I think I said in the last meeting, give me something functional that looks decent. If it's the vinyl coated chain link that rolls across and fire's okay with that, I'll be good with that. Show me some options that way. So that's where I thought we had left it, was show us some options to go from, and we had made the decision we were going to make good on it. That's where I'd like to get to tonight. I don't know how you guys feel about
that. Thanks, Jared. That's a lot of insight too. I don't remember these meetings as being not up here, but part of the galley. But I know last meeting this was on, I think we were just about to what those gates looked like, but I know they wanted to go back to the developer. And I believe we got a response from the developer that's what the gate required in the MDA. So that was the answer we got. And then after that, there wasn't much discussion until we started talking about it again a couple months ago. Did their approved plans show any other gate or subject to a gate in that area or notice a gate?
All that was, I don't want to speak for Nathan, but all that's officially in there is the word crash gate.
No elevations, no anything like that? Or is it?
Not in the MDA. I haven't,
Not that
I think this is like in 2018, 19, when this is going on, maybe 19?
When it was approved, 2020.
2020, but they would have started. I don't have any records from them.
It was a
in my
long
office,
discussion,
so.
but the approval was when the bulk of that conversation, like, we really doubled down on this neighborhood needs to be protected from this type of business, meaning no direct access, and the gate was a big deal.
Yeah, I have seen minutes where they're, I think yourself and Counselor Smith at the time were asking about how the gate would be, how was it going to be activated? They have some that are siren activated. He's a fire chief, so he had a kind of an interest in that, but it kind of just, it talks about that security, but it doesn't, I mean, again, I'm just reading minutes, wasn't here, wasn't in June of 2020 when that was happening. I was thinking about other things in my city there. So I'm not sure what went on. I just know that in the MDA, it uses this phrase crash gate, which the first time we looked at that, I'm like, that doesn't really mean anything. I think it meant something maybe to people bringing it up.
That's one of those instances, in my opinion, that our discussion in council's explicit direction was not put into the agreement.
Well, and I think Nathan's not defending. I think Nathan's more justifying why, why the developer, because I think,
Yeah,
to your point, I think
agree.
that's.
And the developer, they're going by the letter of the law, what's there. Here we are, 5, 6 years later. So I agree that we can't really hold them, their feet to the fire.
Lessons learned,
That's our mistake.
Right.
We should have put a picture in there.
Yeah.
Here's what it is.
When UFA gave the option of a crash gate and specifically picked this one, was that correspondent with the developer or with us, or how'd that
They
work?
didn't say pick one, they said this does qualify.
The developer put it in the plan and submitted it. We put it through our review process. UFA has a representative, the fire marshal.
So this is
reviews the
once they
plans.
went to build it.
They stamped them
5 years
approved.
And
later.
that's all in the other area?
And that doesn't come back to council.
And that's 5 years after the fact, right? So it just goes to fire, to UFA, and they say, yes, that qualifies.
And that was in that 2023 timeframe. It was much after all this was done when that development came through. We will say they did build the office building first, which we don't.
They did hold
normally get.
up to that. We got that part right.
They may have tried to get it out of sequence, but we didn't let them.
They
I
tried
got
to wiggle.
One more question, just for follow-up. What is the ADA minimum requirement on sidewalk access?
So I talked with the building official, and that sidewalk can be closed. It's not required because the requirement is to get someone from the business to the right-of-way, which that's accomplished. So that sidewalk connection could be closed, but if it is to remain open, it needs to meet ADA. So if the council directs staff to go out and close that somehow, we can do that.
And am I right, Bryce, at least in my notes from our conversation in November, December, the reason that it was put through was that because of that requirement, there was not a sidewalk to connect it to in the right-of-way on Mountain View at that time.
Yeah, that's correct. I had some more follow-up discussion with the building official, and it was determined that the right-of-way in front of the building, that the road that was constructed with the development
But now there
counts.
is, so that qualifies, and we
Yes.
could close that.
Because that road in front is the public right-of-way, they don't, I think there was maybe some, as we were looking, we've had this conversation quite a bit with building about what is the public right-of-way and what is the requirement for emergency egress. And it's to get them to a public right-of-way.
A refuge area. So.
Well, then I think this, honestly, like truly, this changes my entire, because Morgan, I know you and I texted about this very issue, right? To me, we drove out there with my family. To me, it didn't justify spending money on a gate if we had to leave the 4 foot, because I don't think that solves the issue, right? It doesn't solve the issue. If we can't close the sidewalk, why spend $30,000 of taxpayer money for a gate, right? Albeit is what was promised, right? But still, it wasn't going to solve what I think the underlying issue is, right? Residents were still, even if we put a fancy gate, you're still going to have people parking there walking into access. So that's because I thought we had to keep an
That's
ADA.
a fair point, 'cause
Because I thought we had to keep an ADA, to me, this was a no.
Yeah.
The
that's a
fact
fair
that we
point,
can put a
'cause
small, that we can block this, to me, this goes back to me, I think we have to
The
go back to
original
our
point was
word.
access.
I think we have to go back and honor our word. I would like to, because I don't, it's not. I mean, one, I want to move that tower that's right across the street. That's the ugliest part of that neighborhood. But that was there when you got there, right? But, so to me, I'm not, I mean, truly, I think this, and I hate the word dipping into budget to do. I hate the word dipping into taxpayer money. But I think there was commitments made, in my opinion. That's, again, I'm one vote too, but I think now that we can close that off, I think a cheap $100 gate from Costco can close that off, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea.
I think we could get some volunteers to do it.
In the memo that I prepared for council a couple months ago, the end of it did say, we can prepare some estimates, get some ideas, and bring it back to council, and then decide, maybe we can do a few options and have a menu, and if you do choose to close it, we can choose which way to go. The bid that was in there came from DAI, and it was gates that would match what's already there. So if you were in the development, all the gates that go into their storage unit.
If they want it to match their development, then maybe they should pitch in.
Yeah. Well, that was just what I was looking at doing. I didn't want to go reinvent the wheel, so I just asked them to get the quote that they had on their gates.
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
I think that helps clarify.
Quiet out there. Keep this. I mean, that's my thoughts now. Again, the fact that because I wasn't ready to spend money if it wasn't going to solve the problem. To me, we weren't going to spend it if we weren't going to solve the problem. If we can solve the problem of access from that backside, I think to me, that is in the intent of the MDA, was to prevent access, even though it doesn't specify, but it did talk about limiting access from that neighborhood. So I think it's incumbent on, I truly believe now we kind of have a legal obligation now to.
Yeah, I don't think there should be any business access from your side of the gate.
Correct.
And that's one of those instances that just arises from poor planning or poor execution, and so.
Just the details.
I don't know where we find it, but to me, I think we need to find the budget for it. And I don't think it needs to be 30,000. I think we can have some other options.
Can I just restate and maybe get agreement nods, as we used to say, as I said, what I'd like to do tonight is give clear direction to staff, bring us back some options
Can we get
to
other thoughts? I'd like to hear.
close the sidewalk and gates.
Yes, I'd like to hear other thoughts down here.
I would say my thoughts are generally the same. When I actually went and visited the site this afternoon, and the thing that screams to me that when I put myself in that neighborhood is the access. Like that's the issue. You just never know what a 4-year-old's gonna do. I kind of forgot because my kids are too old, but my grandkids are reminding me of that. And that's the issue that I see. We can argue about what is aesthetically pleasing to look at, but if we can not have the access, then that's what we need to do, and we need to use the taxpayers' funds judiciously. Thank you very much. In closing it up, and I think we can accomplish all of that.
I'll have to spend a lot of money at Trader Joe's when it opens to help pay for this. I didn't think that was a big ask, but I just had to make sure.
So what are you proposing? Like closing the sidewalk and a new gate, or just closing the sidewalk?
Both.
We could probably close a sidewalk with signage pretty quick, or however that works, but.
I think it would be with the gate as it is now. If we close the sidewalk, you can still just
go under
or hop over the bar that is a gate.
Because as far as like public streets, I've only seen those kind of gates. The more enhanced gates I've seen on HOA neighborhoods. So I don't think we have like a more enhanced gate. I don't think anywhere in the city, do we? From the conversations I've had, that's what it sounded like. So this would be like really unique.
One-off.
Yeah, a one-off.
I don't think we have
So
any.
we need to like be careful to
gate
set
of any kind.
expectations. So I think that's one thing. Another thing is like, could you paint the curb on the other side for no parking?
Closes a
or make no parking signs on the other side to prevent, or at least discourage people from parking on the other side to access those storage units.
Sounds like you don't want it. Neighbors don't want that because you park there. So,
No.
no, sorry. I think we know what you're going to say, though. So I don't think we can anyways, to be honest, so, because it's a public road. So I think that's,
We put up no parking
We
signs.
could sign it no parking.
Yeah, we've done that in front of
As a
schools.
city, you can do that.
you can.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
the
live right
council's
next to a
discretion.
school, and parking and access is an issue as well, right? And so there's some no parking signs there. You know,
I
there
think
are
for that
some things you can
location,
do.
it'd be easy to sign. There's a site distance you'll want to keep in case a fire engine does have to go through there, so you want to keep it open for the driveway, of course, but then a certain distance back each way. You could sign that on that side of the road, possibly on the other for a distance, just to keep that corner open, because that is a difficult curve to negotiate too.
Yeah.
I'll just reiterate, the original conversation with the neighborhood, with the developer, with the council at the time was about direct access, the type of business, proximity to Mountain View, not just from things coming in, but I believe in December, a couple of, at least one resident came in and said, you know, they live close by and their kid had wandered through there, right? They're babysitting someone. Like our biggest concern was direct access. So the whole conversation about the gate and not having that particular type of gate was no access.
Because originally, there wouldn't have been a gate at all, right? So the negotiation was for the gate because it's an
No.
open and public road.
No,
It's a public road.
it started out as the property owner can develop their property. They came in asking for condos. We emphatically said, no, doesn't fit with our plan, doesn't fit with anything. They came back with this plan for offices and storage, citing if we're going to not allow residential there, storage is probably the best use. Our entire discussion to allow storage was predicated on protecting the neighborhood from access.
Right,
But
but
UDOT
since it's a
required an
public
access.
road.
UDOT
right?
required it to be a public road, so the workaround
Yeah.
was a gate that prevented access.
Right. So, I mean, luckily, there is any kind of gate, right? Because it could be no gate on there.
Well, it's just up
That's
to
what
us.
UDOT
That's up to the city.
Yeah.
That's why in the NDA, there was agreement to be a gate. It just was not recorded, at least in my opinion, according to council's direction.
And we don't have like video or audio recordings of those meetings?
I think you got plenty of witnesses.
So one thing with UDOT, not to say that they would, but I mean, there is a chance they could come back at some point and say, you cannot have a gate and or you're in violation of that agreement we have. We don't know. I mean, right now, they've indicated they seem fine with it, but in my experience, usually it takes one brand-new employee who reads a rule a certain way, and then you're wrapped around the axle on something. So I don't think that will happen, but there is a chance in the future that we're here discussing an issue with UDOT on that. I just want everybody to be aware of that.
And
Hopefully
Tara,
I won't be up here by then.
And Tara, I will say, this did come through planning. This did come through planning commission when I was on the planning commission. You guys had already voted on the zoning, and it did come through, and that was the discussion of planning was to prevent access, like we did. And I don't think, again, I was ready to do a gate, but then the ADA access was pushed me to no.
That makes sense.
Because why? But now that we can close the ADA, to me, that pushes me back to yes, and I think that honors everything I've heard in the process. Again, if I'm being frank, I don't love spending taxpayer dollars on this. Like you said, I've got 100 things I'd rather spend this money. I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, but $30,000 is a lot for.
But I also say I think it's important for the public, and this isn't the first time I've said this, for us to hold our hand up when we've made a mistake and make it right.
100%.
Will you remind me why we don't need the ADA access? What changed?
Because we
So
have,
the requirement is if someone's inside the business, which is the office, the leasing office, and there's an emergency like a fire, they have to get out to a refuge area, which is considered the public right-of-way. So to get out to that road is the public right-of-way right in front of them. So they only have to go out to there. it was interpreted for a while by some of our building inspectors that it needed to tie in with existing sidewalks. So more research showed that that wasn't required there.
Just
so.
getting onto that road, that through road is the public.
Yeah, you just need to get out
because
to the road that they built, not the existing road that they tied to, black powder.
And Tara, I appreciate because you and I talked about this, and that's where I was before this, so I appreciate your perspective for sure.
I'm glad somebody else is devil's advocate than me tonight.
Well, I think
It's usually my role.
I think it's just asking those right questions and trying to get through the weeds and find the solution.
Well, as I said at the outset, it's important we do things the right way and poke holes and everything, so.
Okay, well, I don't think there's a vote here tonight. There's nothing on the,
I think it would be helpful if we could get some direction on specifications, whether you want to be able to see through it, whether you want it to be, just some ideas of what you're thinking, because one of the concerns I heard was that they could see through the gate into their neighborhood, which leads me to believe we want something that's solid and not being able to see through.
Give us some options.
Okay. You don't have any?
I think it's a good point. Again, if I lived there, I'd be concerned of, there's always voyeurism, but predators, my kid's out playing, in the yard and somebody's out there seeing when I'm home and when I'm not and when the kids are there. Like all those things are things that we talked about during that process of separating it, denying access there.
and my guess is that's going to be on the more expensive side to close it, no matter what. So that's why I think we need options. I think priority one is limiting access. I think the other could be nice if we had it, right? But I think priority one. So I'll step in. I don't think we need to look at the closed. I'm even getting a head nod. I think it's going to be more affordable to do something nice but simple, and then.
I think our low end is, like what Jeremy had said, talk to someone that's a fabricator that can come out and give us a bid on changing the existing gate. I don't know about closing the sidewalk. There'd have to be something else added for that. Then the next step would be more of a gate that like a wrought iron type gate. You can still see through, but it's 6 foot tall, private. And then the top end would be something that's totally, opaque or closed off. And so I think those would be the three options we'd be looking at.
But is that what you're talking about, 6 feet?
Yeah.
That's our typical height, 5 or 6 feet.
That's a standard gate.
That's going to be the standard size of anything we look at.
We will still need to coordinate with UFA. This is
To
for
qualify.
emergency access. They need to be able to open
Need
it.
to
It can't be
swing or
too
be-
heavy. You're gonna, the last thing we want to do is create something that if there is a fire there and access, they can't get in because of a gate we put in.
Yep.
So we do have to get their buy-off.
As you get that other materials, it can get heavier and heavier, and then it might need to be automated with power, and then all of a sudden, now we're adding $20,000.
Right, and we've got to avoid that,
transformer.
yeah. So I think direction from, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I think direction is, give us a couple of options for that gate and to close off the pedestrian access. But I think last time, Jared, I think what Teddy was saying, I left last time understanding we were going to go ask the developer first and check the ADA. Now that we have that information, to me, it didn't come back favorable to change it at that point. That's, but now with the ADA, that's new to me today. So I think direction now is, I think we'd like to move forward with the gate. So get us options, and then we'll bring it back and approve it in a budget amendment.
Again, we move slow.
And, well, if I might, the last meeting, we actually had 2 issues we were discussing, the gate and the green lights going in people's homes.
Yeah.
And so we jumped on the green lights, we got that fixed, we started talking about the gate, and I think, we got the numbers back. Most of the focus in that meeting was fix the lights. Turn the lights off.
That was definitely the immediate issue.
We did turn off the green lantern thing that was going there. So hopefully that is better. We believe
better,
it is
right?
off.
Is that
If it
better?
is still, if it turns back on, please let us know.
All of those folks have been very happy that was taken care of quickly.
Okay, well, I think that's, because there's no vote, so I think that, staff, are you guys good? I want to make sure
We'll bring you back some options.
Don't do that, because I don't like that, because you'll come back and tell me I didn't make direction clear. How can I make
It's
it more
clear, clear enough. We'll bring you back some options, but we will filter those with UFA so that we don't bring you back something that's not going to work for them at the same time. I don't want to do a bunch of start and stops on this, so give us a little bit of time to figure that out.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Appreciate your input. And truly, I know it's not easy to come, like you said, you've never made the time to come in here. Thank you for being here tonight and part of this process.
Thank you for those that are here again.
Again. Morgan, you can stop coming to city council meetings. Okay, future meetings. We have our next planning commission meeting September 2nd. Our next city council meeting is September 9th. Future events, we've got Hungry Harriman out here out front every Monday from 5 to 8. Labor Day is September 7th. The city offices will be closed. And we did our close, so I just need to adjourn this and go back to work. So I'll look for a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn regular city council meeting and go to a work session.
Motion by Teddy.
Second.
Second by Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all very much again, council, staff, everybody.